Why do 75% of horror stories start with a chilling secret? Perhaps it's because the unknown has a way of gripping our imaginations, pulling us into a world where reality and the supernatural blur. The story of Marion Duchene is no different. It begins with a secret so dark and mysterious that it has haunted me for years. This one is no different. It's a tale that has lingered in the shadows of my mind, a story that refuses to be forgotten. It's a story that begins in the most ordinary of places, a psychiatric hospital. Early in my career as a psychiatric nurse, I encountered a resident I'll never forget. His presence was like a dark cloud that hung over the hospital, a constant reminder of the mysteries that lie just beneath the surface of our everyday lives. He was an elective mute, no medical reason for his silence. His eyes, however, spoke volumes. They were filled with a depth of sorrow and pain that I had never seen before. It was as if he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders, a burden that he could not share with anyone. Standing close to 7 feet tall, Marion Duchene had a mysterious past. His height alone made him an imposing figure, but it was his silence that truly set him apart. He was like a ghost, drifting through the halls of the hospital, a silent spectre that no one could reach. Raised in the deep south, he vanished one night after joining the military. His disappearance was a mystery that no one could solve. It was as if he had been swallowed by the night, leaving no trace behind. His family was left to wonder what had happened to him, their grief compounded by the lack of answers. Declared AWOL, then missing, then dead. The military had given up on finding him, and his family had been forced to accept that he was gone forever. But the truth was far stranger than anyone could have imagined. But 10 years later, Marion walked into a VA hospital emergency room in the Midwest. He was a ghost returned from the dead, a man who had been lost to the world for a decade. His appearance was shocking, to say the least. Covered in dust, wearing the same clothes he disappeared in, he uttered, "My name is Marion Duchene, and I've been dead for 10 years. His voice was like a whisper from the grave, a chilling reminder of the mysteries that lie just beyond our understanding. Those were his last words. After that, he fell silent once more, retreating into the depths of his own mind. It was as if he'd said all that he needed to say, leaving the rest of us to wonder what had happened to him during those lost years. No ID, no use of his social security number for a decade. It was as if he had ceased to exist, a man without a past or a future. The hospital staff was baffled, unable to find any records that could explain his disappearance and sudden reappearance. Identified only through fingerprints, his family refused to believe he was alive. They had mourned his loss, and now they were being asked to accept that he had returned from the dead. It was too much for them to bear, and they turned their backs on him, refusing to acknowledge his existence. They demanded no further contact. It was as if they had buried him all over again, closing the door on a chapter of their lives that they had hoped was over. Marion was left alone, a man without a family, without a past, and without a future. Marion was a spectral presence, pacing constantly, moving his mouth as if speaking, yet no sound emerged. It was as if he was trapped in a world of his own, a silent purgatory from which there was no escape. His eyes were haunted, filled with a sorrow that no one could understand. He had this unnerving habit, throwing his head back as if laughing heartily, but not a single sound escaped. Medications, therapy, nothing reached him. It was as if he was beyond our help, a man who had been touched by something otherworldly. On my last day, I saw Marion pacing in the parking lot, head back in silent laughter. It was a sight that I will never forget, a haunting reminder of the mysteries that lie just beyond our understanding. I've often wondered, was I dealing with a ghost all along? Was Marion a man who had been touched by the supernatural, a soul trapped between this world and the next? Or was he simply a man who had been broken by the horrors of his past, unable to find his way back to the world of the living? To this day, the question haunts me. The story of Marion Duchene is a reminder that there are mysteries in this world that we may never fully understand. It is a story that has stayed with me, a haunting reminder of the thin veil that separates the living from the dead. If you enjoyed this eerie tale, please subscribe, like, and share for more haunted stories. There are many more mysteries to uncover, many more stories to tell. Join me as we explore the unknown, delving into the dark corners of our world where the supernatural and the real collide.